When most people think of the ancient Americas, three names dominate the conversation: the Aztec, the Maya, and the Inca. But the truth is far richer and stranger. From lost cities swallowed by jungles to mountain fortresses hidden in the clouds, the Americas were home to dozens of other civilizations, many just as powerful and inventive, yet far less remembered today. In this video, we're exploring 8 civilizations you've probably never heard of. Some left behind towering monuments, others inspired legends of gold and lost cities, and a few remain wrapped in mystery, even to archaeologists today. Let's dive in. Chachapoya, warriors of the clouds. High in the cloud forests of northern Peru lived the Chachapoya, known as the warriors of the clouds. Their strongholds were perched on misty ridges, where sheer cliffs provided natural defenses. The most famous is Cuelap Fortress, massive stone walls rising 20 meters high, enclosing over 400 buildings. But the Chachapoya weren't just builders. They practiced unique burial rituals, placing mummified bodies in sarcophagi built into cliff faces, their painted skulls staring eternally across valleys. For centuries, these figures stood as guardians, until looters and weather eroded many away. The Chachapoya resisted Inca conquest fiercely, and when the Spanish arrived, some even sided with the invaders against their old rivals. Yet, by the 16th century, disease and assimilation had nearly erased them. Today, new discoveries, including over 100 hidden structures recently found in the Peruvian Andes, are forcing historians to ask how widespread and advanced this so-called forgotten civilization really was. Muisca, the true story of El Dorado. In the highlands of Colombia, the Muisca built a society so rich in ritual that it gave birth to one of history's most famous legends, El Dorado. Spanish conquistadors heard whispers of a golden city, but the reality was both stranger and more symbolic. In truth, the Muisca held a sacred ceremony at Lake Guatavita. A new leader, naked and covered head to toe in gold dust, would sail to the center of the lake and dive beneath the water, offering treasures to the gods below. Witnesses described a shimmering figure vanishing beneath the surface, a sight so dazzling that Europeans transformed it into a myth of entire cities built from gold. But the Muisca were not obsessed with treasure. They thrived through salt mining, textiles, and long-distance trade. Gold, to them, had spiritual power, not material wealth. Sadly, the Spanish stripped away much of their heritage, but the legend of El Dorado remains, all thanks to the Muisca's golden rituals. Zapotec, builders of Monte Alban. In Mexico's Oaxaca Valley, the Zapotec people built one of the first great urban centers of the Americas, Monte Alban. Perched on a leveled mountaintop, the city once held tens of thousands of people. Its plazas, pyramids, and ball courts were carved directly into the mountain itself. The Zapotec created one of the earliest known writing systems in the Americas. Their glyphs, carved into stone monuments, record conquests and dynasties, though many remain only partially understood today. They also developed an advanced calendar that influenced the Maya. For over 1,000 years, Monte Alban thrived as a political and cultural hub. But around the year 800, the city was mysteriously abandoned. Some blame warfare, others environmental decline. Today, its silent plazas stand as a reminder that urban life in the Americas didn't begin with the Maya or Aztec, but with civilizations like the Zapotec. Tirona, builders of the lost city. Deep in the Colombian jungle, hidden beneath thick vegetation, lies Ciudad Perdida, the lost city. Built centuries before Machu Picchu, it was the jewel of the Tirona civilization. To reach it today requires climbing nearly 1,200 stone steps through humid rainforest. But once you arrive, you find a vast network of terraces, plazas and stairways carved into the mountainside. Archaeologists believe it once housed thousands, with advanced drainage and agricultural systems to survive in the steep terrain. When the Spanish invaded, the Tairona retreated deeper into the mountains. Their descendants, the Kogi and Arhuaco, still live there today, preserving much of their traditional worldview. To them, Ciudad Perdida is not lost. It is alive, a sacred place that outsiders only rediscovered in the 1970s. For us, it's a haunting reminder of a civilization swallowed by the jungle, but never truly gone. Mixtec, artists and codex keepers. In southern Mexico, the Mixtec people rose as both warriors and artisans. They were famed for their metalwork, crafting gold jewelry and ceremonial objects so exquisite that even the Aztec rulers collected them. The Spanish melted down much of this artistry, but fragments survive, showing skill that rivaled Renaissance Europe. The Mixtec also preserved their history in codices, painted manuscripts filled with vivid pictographs. Unlike most Mesoamerican books, a handful of these codices survived the fires of conquest, offering us direct glimpses into Mixtec myths, kings, and battles. Politically, the Mixtec were fierce. City-states like Tilantongo and Tututepec fought bitter wars, and legendary rulers such as Lord Eight-Deer Jaguar Claw carved empires through alliances and betrayals. Though less known outside Mexico, the Mixtec remind us that history is not just monuments, it's art, writing, and human drama. Tiwanaku, the mysterious monuments. On the high plateau near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia lies Tiwanaku, one of the most enigmatic civilizations of the Andes. At its height, Tiwanaku may have held tens of thousands of people, supported by innovative agriculture, raised fields and canals that allowed crops to thrive at high altitude. But it is their monuments that astonish us today. The Gateway of the Sun, a massive stone arch, is covered in intricate carvings whose meaning is still debated. Other structures use enormous stone blocks fitted so precisely that some researchers argue they were advanced beyond their time. Tiwanaku influenced much of the Andes long before the Inca rose to power. And yet, by the 11th century, it declined, perhaps due to drought. Its ruins still puzzle archaeologists. Were they a religious center, a political capital, or both? The mystery lingers. Wari, the forgotten empire. Long before the Inca stitched together their vast empire, the Wari, or Huari, had already done something similar in Peru. Rising in the 6th century, the Wari built a centralized state with roads, administrative centers, and even urban planning. Their capital near Ayacucho covered more than 15 square kilometers. The Wari pioneered many techniques the Inca later adopted. Their road networks became the backbone of the famous Inca highways. Their methods of storing food and managing provinces set a template for empire building in the Andes. Yet, for all their influence, the Wari are often overlooked, overshadowed by the Inca who came centuries later. Why they declined is still unclear, though climate change and internal strife likely played a role. What is clear is this: without the Wari, the Inca might never have built their empire so quickly. Olmec, the colossal legacy. Finally, we return to Mexico, where the Olmec civilization flourished along the Gulf Coast more than 3,000 years ago. Often called the mother culture of Mesoamerica, they influenced art, religion, and politics for centuries to come. The Olmec are most famous for their colossal stone heads, some weighing over 40 tons. Each one is thought to represent a ruler, immortalized in basalt. How they transported and carved such massive stones remains debated. But beyond the heads, the Olmec developed early writing symbols, religious practices that shaped later cultures, and a style of art that still feels powerful today. Who they were, and why their cities eventually fell, remains partly a mystery. But their influence echoes in the civilizations that followed, proof that even those considered forgotten helped shape the Americas we remember. From cloud warriors and golden rituals to jungle cities and colossal heads, these civilizations prove that the story of the Americas is far deeper than just the Inca, Maya, and Aztec. Each one left behind fragments, ruins, legends, mysteries that we're still piecing together today. Which of these civilizations surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey, hit subscribe for more lost histories, strange facts, and stories that make you say, "Oh, that's interesting."